Hi everyone!
Welcome to In Our Defence, the podcast designed to give you all the advice you need whilst going through the trials and tribulations of life to and at the bar. Now, we wouldn't be a legal podcast if we didn't give you a legal disclaimer.
Whilst every effort has been made to ensure the content of this podcast is accurate, none of it is to be taken as professional advice in any capacity. We might talk a lot about a lot of things in a lot of detail, but in our defence, we are still learning too.
Bring your pet to work.
Hi guys, welcome back to In Our Defence. He is literally the floppiest boy, look.
Moose isn't actually my dog, he's my sister's dog, but...
Okay then. Ready?
Hello everyone, welcome back.
Hi everyone!
In Our Defence, we're on week 5, well, episode 5. I'm not sure what week this is now because of the Christmas break.
I think it's week 5. 6.
Week 6, episode 5. There we are. This week we are going to be chatting to you about the Inns of Court, and does it matter which inn you apply for? Does it have any bearing on your career? Compared to last week's episode, which is quite long, this week will probably be slightly shorter, but then again, I could probably talk the back legs off a donkey, so...
Yeah, we both could be here all day chatting to a brick wall, like genuinely, so...
We'll try and keep
it brief. We're also going to be discussing a little bit about scholarships. So, unfortunately, neither me or Lou did get a scholarship, but we do have a couple of colleagues, or what would you call them, peers, I guess,
Contemporaries.
Contemporaries that have got scholarships, and they have given us a little bit of an insight into the scholarship process. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about that with you guys as well. So, topic of the week this week, guys. I have also got my little cup with me as well. So if you see me sipping on that, just know you didn't. It's like double the size of my head, and I have a big head, so...
You're going to have to get a custom-made wig for your head.
I am. I'm going to have the biggest wig that humans can buy, genuinely. My topic of the week this week is also another family law topic, just like last week. So... this week I have found a story from the Inner Temple Daily Digest today, and this is being filmed on the 12th of January. So I will also, as always, link it in the bio and everything. And the headline for this week is almost half of family courts to allow reporting in England and Wales. So currently in the UK, well not in the UK, in England and Wales, there is 43 family law hearing centres. And presently, only Carlisle, Cardiff and Leeds allow reporting in the family law courts. So essentially, journalists can attend the court cases and the court hearings in the family courts in Cardiff, Carlisle and Leeds, and they can report on what they've heard in the courtroom. Yeah. Everywhere else in the UK, journalists can attend, but they can't report on the case or the hearing. So this is like a pilot study that's been rolled out in those 3 cities, and they are planning on expanding it to 19 of the 43 family law hearing centres. And I just thought this was an interesting topic to cover because, you know, we're always taught that family law is predominantly private. There's not... reporting isn't allowed most of the time. Obviously there's always the exceptions. When I was researching this, I found another article, and this was on WRK Goodman, which I believe is a law firm, and the writer of the article is Emily Hughes, who is a legal assistant. And the title of this one was, "Can Journalists Access and Report on my family law hearing? A new pilot scheme says yes they can." And this was very insightful and added quite a few bits to the topic this week. What she discusses in the article is that families and professionals have felt that there is a degree of injustice in the family court due to the lack of reporting. So things are being said or done that need to be acted on but aren't being acted on because there's nothing to hold them accountable, whether this be the justices or the council. She also mentions that this is a step towards open justice, and the family court can be held accountable for the decisions they make, which I think is really interesting, as we obviously know that most criminal cases, obviously, as I said, there's always the exceptions, but most criminal cases are public and are open for reporting. I think anything that allows people to be held accountable is good. Obviously, with family law, it's a little bit more... What's the word?
I think the trouble is with family law is a lot of the proceedings obviously involve children.
Exactly. So, that's exactly what I was going to say, Lou. So this is why we work so well.
Yeah. Is more confidential. It's dealing with the private lives of individuals, whereas in criminal proceedings it's someone against the state. So
exactly,
this is someone's, two individuals, or however
I totally agree with you, and thank you for taking the words right out of my mouth. The majority of family law cases, obviously not matrimonial or family finance or anything like that, the majority of family law cases do involve children. So I think there is a level that needs to be monitored on the reporting of these cases, and there needs to be measures in place that can protect the children and even protect the parents, because the parents are subject to vulnerability as well if they've been through this absolutely awful time in their life. If they happen to have lost the child and the child gets put up for adoption, or there's a placement order in place or something like that. So there definitely needs to be protective measures put in place for the families, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops, how that pilot scheme sort of is rolled out.
I think as well, obviously, cases that are reported on the Bailey and that are accessible, judgments are available to anyone. Once the Court of Appeal or whoever has ruled or handed down a judgment, that is accessible and it is then in the public domain. So I suppose on the one, a benefit perhaps of reporting lower level cases and just any cases generally, I suppose it allows the public at large, I suppose, an insight.
One thing I find really interesting as well is a lot of people that I spoke to throughout bar school, or people that don't know a lot about a career in law, often say, "Oh, what type of law do you want to go into?" And in their brain, it's either criminal or business law. They're sort of the two paths that you can go down. A lot of people don't have a good knowledge about family law. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand... I think a lot of people have the misconception that family law is solely about divorce as well. So I think if that opens the family court up to people who don't have a good knowledge of the law and make it a wider understood concept in society, I think that would be a really positive thing coming from it. But as I said, it obviously needs to be protective in nature and make sure that it is protecting those families at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with yours then, Lou?
Yeah.
I haven't heard Lou's this week in advance, so I'm interested. I'm learning along with you guys about what Lou's going to talk about this week.
So my topic of the week is not really a huge topic. It's still very much related to pupillage applications because, as I'm sure most of you will be aware, it's pupillage application time. If you're not aware, be aware, because get your applications in. I stumbled across this blog and I found it really, really interesting. So it's a post by Chris Kelly, who is a barrister at Briefed, and it was posted on Legal Futures, which I think I spoke about before previously. It's a good website generally just to kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And Chris Kelly is a barrister at Briefed who specialises in assisting chambers and barristers improve equality, diversity and inclusion through bespoke advice, training and audits. There isn't a huge amount for me to say on this really, other than I urge you to go and read the article. And essentially what this post is about, it's titled Pupillage Interviews, Top Tips for Fairer Recruiting. So essentially what this article is about what the chambers are looking for. It's rather than what you should be putting in your applications, it's what chambers are sort of looking for in terms of a candidate and what they can do and the rules and regulations around that. And for me, the way my mind works, the more I know about something, the easier it is for me to understand. So this is really helpful for me because if I understand what rules and regulations that chambers have to adhere to and what principles and guidelines, etc., that they're looking for, it will help me sort of tailor my applications and my hopeful interviews towards that. And he makes the point really early on that both applicants and chambers both share a common goal, which is to find the right candidate. And this resonated with me slightly because there's this massive pressure that we all put on ourselves to be the right fit for chambers, and or for chambers to be the right fit for us. And I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that we both actually want the same thing. So we want a chambers that suits us, but they also want someone that suits them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah,
the Hunt for Pupillage is just as much about them finding a suitable candidate as it is you finding a suitable chambers. And I think the temptation to throw your application at each and every set dilutes the quality of your application, and it doesn't necessarily dilute the intention, I suppose. I think what I'm trying to say is be selective. You know, you don't want to appear desperate. You know, yes, there is the temptation. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I think, oh yeah, I'm going to apply to every single chambers as much as I possibly can because I'm so desperate to get pupillage because that's what I want. When actually, I think I should probably be a bit more selective. Yeah, perhaps I've digressed slightly there. I feel.
No, I completely agree.
Read the article. It gives really sound advice to chambers and what they're looking for, and it helped me understand the recruitment process more. Again, it helps me understand sort of what they're looking for and the process from their point of view as well, which is something I've never really given much thought to. We all give so much thought to the pupillage gateway. When do applications come out? When have we got to get our applications in? Interviews, this, that, and the other. And actually, I never kind of thought of it from the other side, and that it's probably a really stressful time for them as well. All the people, the people who are doing these recruitment exercises, they're all practicing barristers. They've all got a practice. They're coming home from court every day and reading these applications. They're not going to want to sit through hundreds of applications. But I think it's important to be mindful of that in your applications. Again, I've gone off the topic slightly, but that's my topic of the week. Go and have a read. I find it interesting.
Yeah, I find it super interesting. I think because it's what we're doing at the moment. We're obviously doing all these applications all the time and trying to be selective in which chambers you pick. Obviously, you want to be going for the chambers that suits you, and you can sort of go to chambers, get a mini pupillage, and you might find that chambers isn't one that you want to go to for some reason or another. I mean, I've never had that sort of experience, but I know a lot of people that have. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point is, quality over quantity. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward in these applications and don't just scramble to get all of 12 gateway applications and however many email applications in, and just because you think the more you shoot, the more you're going to hit, sort of thing. Is that the right phrase?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never done any more than 5, I don't think, in previous rounds, but in my view, the quality of the content of the application you're doing will lessen as you do more. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That's just how my brain kind of goes. I think.
I mean, it's logical, isn't it? It's logical to think that the more you do, the less time you're going to have to put into each one. So of course, it might be. Of course, the quality. You might sacrifice the quality for the time, sort of thing. I've never applied before, guys. I didn't apply last round. This is my first time applying. I didn't apply last year because I was full throttle with my exams. I just felt like I couldn't take my foot off the gas with that, and I knew as soon as I started applications I was going to have to put my all into those, and I didn't want to sacrifice anything else. And just the way that I work, I knew something would have to give there. So I didn't do it last time around. This is my first time doing it, and it's difficult. It's really difficult, and like me and Lou have said before, it's difficult to big yourself up. It's difficult to know what you've done. What have I done? what? There's like hobbies and interests. I'm like, well, I know my hobbies, but is that something I could put down? Or it's really difficult to think about yourself in from a different perspective. Is really difficult. But yeah, I hope everybody's getting on okay with it.
The horrors persist, but so do we. That's what you've got to.
This is Lou's favourite phrase at the moment, guys.
Yes. Horrors persist, but so do I.
So funny. The body of the podcast today, as Lou said at the beginning, we're going to be talking about the Inns of Court. So which Inns of Court should you choose, which is right for you, why we chose the inn we chose, and we've got a couple of our peers from the bar course who have given us, or learned friends, should I say, who have given us a bit of information about why they chose the inn they chose, how they managed to get a scholarship. So I think this will be interesting for you guys who are looking into it. So, the Inns of Court. Now, if you don't know what they are, you might be new to this. The Inns of Court are essentially professional institutions for barristers, and they are sort of like societies. So, they're all called the Honourable Society of, and then there's 4 of them. So me and Lou are both in the Honourable Society of Lincoln's Inn. There is also the Honourable Society of Gray's Inn, Inner Temple and Middle Temple. Now, all barristers in England and Wales are a member of one of those 4 inns, and they are all located down in London, in sort of a similar area of London, aren't they, Lou? Like near like the Temple tube stop.
Like Holborn, that sort of like Chancery Lane, that area.
Yeah, and they are amazing, amazing historical buildings with so much culture and history. And I will put a picture on the screen of when me and Lou went to Lincoln's Inn and sort of give you guys a little bit of a taster of what the inn looks like, because you might not know. Before you start the bar course, you have to be a member of one of these Inns of Court. One thing I will say, make sure you get your application for the inn sent off in time. So each one has their own sort of time scale, but on average, you normally have to get your application sent off 12 weeks before you start your bar course. I didn't know anybody who did the bar course. I knew a couple of barristers, but I completely went into the bar course blind, as I've told you guys before. I didn't actually realise that there was a time scale. This is off my own fault. I didn't actually realise that there was a timescale to apply for the inn. So I thought I was being really proactive and went on the website and thought, right, I'll get my application off now. And it said, you need to send it off 12 weeks before. And I was just on the cut-off. I was like just on the cusp of sending it off. You have to send an application off. I think you can print it out. You obviously have to apply online first, and then you can print the application off. You have to send it, but in registered post, is it, Lou? What's it called?
Yeah, so you send it, well, I just posted mine off generally.
Don't you have to have a professional person, or like you have to have something like I had to get the post office to stamp mine? What's that called?
My application to just join the inn generally, just put it in the post.
You just put it in the post box?
Put it in the post box.
How did you get away with that one?
Guys, we've got conflicting advice here. Do you know what, you've thrown the entire podcast into disrepute now. No one's going to know what to do.
Right, I know what it is. You have to have a certified copy. So guys, we've figured out that yeah, you need to send off certified copies of the application documents, a certified copy of your ID or passport, and a certified copy of your degree certificate. So you need to have this certified by either somebody professional. So Lou, you got yours done by the uni, didn't you? And I took mine to the post office because they do certain post office certified documents for you. So I took mine there to get certified and sent it off, and I was just in an absolute panic. I thought I wasn't going to be accepted in time. I thought I've ruined my whole bar career because I didn't get my application off, and genuinely, I thought I'd absolutely ruined it for myself. Obviously, get your application in as soon as possible and definitely before 12 weeks. But, you know, things happen, things go wrong, and, you know, I'm sure the inn might be gracious enough to sort of make an exception if you get it in with reasonable excuse within a good time frame. But yeah, make sure you're sending them off in like with a lot of time to spare because you don't want to be panicking. Like, that was a horrible, horrible feeling.
Literally, I sent it off a year before I actually started the bar course.
Definitely get everything off. Make sure you have a list of everything you need to send, a list of everything you need to do before you start, and make sure you get it all done as soon as possible because you do not want to be panicking.
It's also, or it was, £110 to join. There's a joining fee.
Oh my gosh, yeah, £110 to join.
Yeah.
So not only that, but I had also done the BCAT, which bar course aptitude test,
Yes.
which you no longer need to do, and they cancelled it the week after I had done it and paid £150 to do it. So that was fantastic. So if you are due to start the bar course in this year or next year even, or soon, you don't need to do the BCAT anymore. It might change when you come to do it, just make sure you double check, but as of right now you don't need to do it. As I said before, there is Lincoln's Inn, Gray's Inn, Middle Temple and Inner Temple, and we have a couple of our bar course friends who have given us their reasoning for choosing their inn. So firstly, Lou, do you want to chat a little bit about why you chose Lincoln's Inn?
So when it came to choosing which inn I was going to apply to, I had no idea. I'll be honest, I had no idea. I spoke to quite a few people. The first thing I asked is, does it matter? Ultimately, no matter what people tell you, no. There is this rivalry between all the inns, and you should join Lincoln's, you should join Gray's, you should join, Middle's the best, Inn is the best, Lincoln's, there is that. But when it comes down to it, it genuinely makes no difference. So don't fret, don't panic too much. You also, once you join one, you are a member for life, as in you can't then change. That stuck in my head, and I was like, oh my goodness, if I make the wrong choice, I'm stuck here forever. Again, it doesn't really matter. And to be honest, once you do all of your qualifying sessions and once you've been called, the need to go down to London, if you're someone who practices or isn't, or is outside of London, they do lots of virtual stuff. Obviously I like going down to London, I enjoy going, so I do visit the inn, but you don't have to either. So I literally had no idea. I spoke to a couple of people, but I've still got the page somewhere. I'd put all four on a sheet of A4 paper, and I was writing down as well. Pros, cons, but at the time, I don't want to sound like a mercenary, but Lincoln's had the deepest pockets in terms of scholarships. I'm not afraid to say that's why I applied. I didn't get a scholarship, we'll come on to that later, but I don't regret it because I love Lincoln's Inn. I think it's fantastic. They offer so much. They do mentoring schemes, they offer lots of support. It's the biggest inn. I was going to say most populated, but that's completely the wrong word. What am I trying to say? Most subscribed to?
It's got the biggest membership, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got the most amount of members. And also this absolutely should not be a deciding factor in any of your applications, because you can dine at any of the inns, but the food at Lincoln's Inn was really, really good. But that's not a reason.
It's all about the food, guys.
And a fantastic wine cellar. Again, not a reason. Also a reason.
I personally, as well, I literally had no idea which inn I wanted to apply for. And then learning more about the inn and its history, the building of Lincoln's Inn,
it's
all
beautiful.
of the inns, but specifically Lincoln's Inn, it's just beautiful. The Great Hall looks like something out of Hogwarts. It's just absolutely fantastic. The library was amazing. If you guys have watched You on Netflix, the most recent series, when he was, I know it's not filmed there. No, I know it's not filmed there. I was just going to say it looks like it. I messaged you, I was like, oh my God, it's filmed in Lincoln's.
Yeah.
If you've seen that, you'll know what we're talking about. It's a beautiful building, and obviously it's the biggest inn. So in my mind, I was thinking there is really good opportunities for networking, meeting people. As we've gone on and we've met loads of people from the inn, and we've done the residential weekends and everything like that, we've met so many lovely people who are from Lincoln's, and I think this can definitely be said for Lincoln's, and I think it can also be said for all of the inns. There's a real sense of community, for the camaraderie of it, the dinners, the balls that they do, it's just fantastic. And I love the way that the bar has kept that historical element. I just absolutely love it. I think it's just fantastic. but the historical and almost the archaic elements of dining. So the bar mess dinners that they do, which are so strategic and so well thought out, and it's almost like you'd never see anything like that in modern society. Essentially, you have like a head of the table, don't you, Lou? And you have the head sort of apportions themselves out some food, and then you have to pass it round a certain direction, and like it's all so much to think about.
Yeah.
Like, it's great fun. At the end of the day, I'm just there to eat my dinner. So, I mean, I'd rather just get on with it and eat it, but it's great fun.
That is a bit about Lincoln's. Again, we're slightly biased because we are both members there, but we've had to speak to some of our contemporaries or peers.
I love when you say contemporaries.
In relation to Middle Temple. So our lovely friend, when we asked her why she applied for Middle, she said that she felt it was the most diverse in terms of students, in that there are lots of students there from lots of different cultures, which she thought would be beneficial for networking and the like. Also, another thing that she didn't realise until after is that there's actually an open bar for students. I don't know if that's an all year. I didn't ask if it's an all year round type thing or how that works entirely, but fantastic for networking and socialising.
Absolutely.
You know.
Perhaps we should ask for an invitation to this open bar, this wonderful, fantastical open bar that's going on over there.
Well, we can't anymore because we're not student members anymore.
Well, you aren't, I am. I'm going to go down without you and use all the free alcohol.
The other thing about Middle is Middle do Revels night. And I don't know about, I think it's the only inn that do these Revels nights. And it's, for me, whilst I absolutely love the idea of it, it also put me off slightly. That Revels night is essentially, it's a dinner, but each table has to perform a sketch or comedy sketch. And it's like the students and pupillage hunters, so like student members or people who are junior members, they have to do like a comedy sketch or a song, and each table has to do one. It's like a performance.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds right up our alley. Like,
no,
I know. All over that.
Being a self-professed musical theatre girly, as I know you are as well. So the Middle Temple Revels are a comedy revue of sketches and songs staged on 2 nights every December in Hull. So written and performed by a company of Middle Temple students, pupillage hunters, pupils and barristers in their early years of practice. With music from a live band, the show carries on a tradition of lively and irreverent student revelry going back to at least Shakespeare's time. Audiences of benchers, lawyers, friends and family are treated to hearty food and drink and invited to laugh at the law, the news, themselves and anything the company finds humour in. I think it's lovely and I would love to go to one. I would absolutely love to go to one.
That is so up my street. Like, we need to see if we can go to one of these nights. Hearty food, hearty wine. I'm sure there'll be port flowing, as there always is at the inns. That sounds like my idea of a dream Saturday evening.
We've missed a trick there, really, haven't we?
Our other friend on our course, he went to Inner Temple. And one thing that I know has been really successful for him is that Inner Temple offer a judicial marshalling scheme. So essentially they organise for you to go down to London and shadow a judge for, I think it was just for the day, but still an amazing experience. They sort of organise the ins and outs of that judicial marshalling and get you in the door with a judge, which is absolutely fantastic. So that's one really good thing about Inner Temple as well. I think both the temples are relatively similar. I mean, they're all similar, all of the inns, but I think Middle and Inner are quite similar in the way that Lincoln's Inn is the biggest one, Gray's Inn is the smallest one, and Inner and Middle are sort of that middle ground.
One of my lovely colleagues at work has sent me I asked him for his thoughts basically on Gray's Inn, and I think first and foremost is that it's because it's got the reputation for being the friendliest of the inns. Also know that it's the one, I think, and I don't want to get this wrong, I think it's the one that is most popular to those outside of London. Another reason why he was drawn to Gray's, and I suppose it goes back to it being the smallest and most friendliest, is because he wanted to go somewhere where he could get more at the beginning of his career, and then hopefully give more once he was established. And also he was aware that studying part-time, that he might need the support and understanding from the inn. And he goes on to say that Grays has never been anything other than what he had hoped for. Another reason, and I didn't realise this, all the inns have, as India, you've already said, the huge, fantastic history, and they're all beautiful, beautiful buildings. But Gray's Inn links to Elizabeth I, and it being the inn of John Cook, who was the barrister who successfully prosecuted Charles I. And that's another thing that, appealing to other people. And then in relation to scholarships at Gray's, you've got a greater chance of getting a scholarship at Gray's than you do some of the other inns.
I think that leads us in quite nicely to talking about scholarships. As I said before, I went in completely blind. I was unaware that you could get a scholarship. I thought that the scholarships were for the super, super brainy kids who got firsts across the board. Scholarships are for anybody who has an interest in being a barrister and can do the questions that they ask you to a good standard. You could get a scholarship. So I was under the impression that you could only get them if you were super, super intelligent, and that is not the case. So I didn't actually apply for any scholarships, stupidly.
One of the inns, and I should have done my research on this, guy, so you have to forgive me, but one of them, you are guaranteed an interview. They interview everyone. So you apply for a scholarship and you are guaranteed an interview. So I applied for a scholarship with Lincoln's Inn. They have a huge range of scholarships. I think the most prestigious is the Lord Denning Scholarship, I think. Ones where it's just the dinners that you can be paid for. I say just, it's not just. Any scholarship is incredible, and it looks fantastic on any application form. You can hear this honking noise. There's one of our pipes at my mum's house is...
I can't hear anything.
Okay, well, if you can hear it on the recording, I'm very, very sorry.
My cat has been out there in the hallway shredding a box for the past hour. Just having the time of his life. So I apologise if you can hear that also.
So I applied. It was difficult. The application form was difficult. Like anything, you've got to show on paper why you are a worthy candidate or a worthy recipient of the scholarship. And I think that can be difficult to get across on paper.
I'll just interject at this juncture. One of our other friends on the bar course, he also applied for a scholarship and got it, and he said that the questions were quite similar to pupillage application questions. So why do you want to be a barrister?
Yeah.
Why do you think you should get this scholarship? Show us an example of when you've had to sort of execute your teamwork skills or your interpersonal skills, things like that, like the sort of standard questions you'd expect on a pupillage application.
I was very lucky. I got an interview. So again, it was 200 interviews for 100 places. So I had one in two chance, so 50-50. So nervous. You can't get a student loan for the bar course, which is something I don't think we've ever mentioned before. Actually, it's the only way you qualify for a student loan is if you do a master's with your bar course, which is what both me and India did. So we're still completing the master's element of that at the moment. So that was certainly a reason why I considered a scholarship as,
Sorry, this fur has just fallen off the back of my seat. I'm very sorry about that.
They'd sent out some prep to me from the week for about a week or 5 days in advance, and they said, here's 9 questions, prepare an answer for each one, and we'll ask you one of these four questions out of the 9 or however many. And I thought I had prepared. I really thought I'd prepared. And at the very bottom it said, also be prepared to talk about a topic of your choosing. I had recently done something in my undergrad in relation to family law, which I found particularly interesting. I'd sort of written a bit about it. And for some reason I printed that out and I sort of had it with me. My interview was on Teams. The first question I was asked, I thought, okay, wasn't prepared for that. I can't remember what they asked me first of all, but it was a behaviour. It was a tell me a time you've done X. Fine. Luckily I had something, because it was a behaviour question and I've done job applications previously. I thought, oh, okay, it's something I can pull on previous experiences. Question 2, much the same. Question 3, again, fine. And then the last one they said to me, right, so we understand that you've prepared a presentation. And I went, okay, yeah. I naively or stupidly thought it was going to be, okay, you bring something and we'll chat about it. Luckily, as I say, I had printed out this sort of piece I'd done for my tutor on my undergrad in relation to family, and I had it with me, so I was able to say, oh yeah, actually here, I've got something to say. And then they asked me loads of follow-up questions. Basically, they asked me some follow-up questions, I didn't know the answer to them. I didn't know them. They were all lovely people, but obviously, you have to be mindful that you're asking them for money.
A lot of money as well.
It's a rigorous process. Rightly so. Rightly, it should be.
Yeah.
I think I was too casual about it, if I'm honest. They said, give us your opinion, and I just said, it's not something I'm prepared to give my opinion on because I don't know enough about it. And they were really, no, come on. And I said, I just don't want to give you my opinion on it because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I said, if you could give me 5 minutes to do some research, and it just didn't. As soon as it ended, I cried solidly for about half an hour. And I suppose it builds resilience. And, when you're asking for this investment, it's got to be considered with the weight that it deserves.
Knowing you like I know you, Lou, you would have been prepared for that interview. But at that time, I guess that was the first time for you of having to really think on your feet and really think quickly and be like, and it's so difficult and it takes a while to learn that skill. It really does. And that comes through life experience, legal experience, like mooting, things like that. That ability to be able to think on your feet is so important in interviews. And when it's your first time ever having had that situation, it's going to be really daunting and you might just have a moment where you're like, I don't feel comfortable.
So there's my terrible experience. We should say, guys, I think we've said this before, but if you've got any questions for us about things like that, then please ask away.
Our learned friend who also got the scholarship, he has given us a breakdown of the questions that he was asked in his interview. So essentially, this was for his scholarship interview with Inner Temple. He said that they gave him a case to read half an hour before the interview and they basically sort of grilled him on it for 10 minutes. So the grounds of the case, the issues, the ratio decidendi and the judgment, etc. And they're showing my Latin there, guys. I'm fluent in Latin, don't you know? Jokes. He also had a few questions to test his general legal knowledge. Like, he said that his was what was the standard of proof for a civil case and what the cab rank rule is. Then he had an advocacy exercise. So he had a statement and he had 30 seconds to prepare his arguments for or against that statement. So again, super, super rigorous and sort of many hoops that you have to jump through to get this scholarship. But like Lou said, it's an investment for them, so I can completely see why it is so rigorous. But just try, guys. What have you got to lose? Even if your experience isn't as good and you don't get a scholarship, and I'm speaking for Lou here, correct me if I'm wrong, Lou, but I don't think it sort of damaged your confidence with anything like that, or
I still knew I was going to do the bar course. I knew I was going to do the bar course. It just meant I had to do it slightly differently, or if you went through life and you got everything you wanted, you'd be the most very, very lucky, but also very, very boring.
He just wanted to stress that the interview panel for the scholarship were really nice and they weren't intimidating whatsoever, and he felt like they really wanted him to succeed. So that's something to take into the interview or your applications. I think that's a good thing to remember.
I just want, and if I can add to that, my interview panel, they were lovely. They were genuinely really, really nice people.
Maybe you just had a bad day. It happens.
Maybe I had a bad day. It just one of those things. But yeah, they were all genuinely really nice. So I think that brings us to the end of this week's pod. Thank you for listening, as always, guys, and your ongoing support. It means ever such a lot to us. We know you're all really, really busy people, and so you taking time out of your busy schedules to listen to us rambling is very, very lovely. Good luck with everyone who's doing their pupillage applications at the moment. Keep going. We're all in the same boat. We've got this together. We can do this.
And we are really full steam ahead with these applications at the moment. We know how difficult it is and we are there for you. If you have anything you want to talk to us about, definitely get in contact, because we're, like Lou said, we're all in the same boat.
Even if you want to chat, if you don't want to ask us any questions but you just want to vent, please DM us. Just I'm not sure we're going to be able to record next weekend, are we? So it might not be.
No. Yeah, I've got mini pupillage next week, so I'm not going to be here, so I won't be able to record and edit the podcast. I'm sure you guys understand. We've all been there, haven't we? So we'll be picking back up the weekend afterwards, and
Yeah.
our next episode is going to be starting the bar course. So this is going to be about the different providers in the UK, which providers should you choose, what to wear, how to make friends, things you need to remember, things that we wish we would have known. So I'm really looking forward to the next podcast. Thank you so much for watching again, guys.
Thank you, and good luck with the applications. Good luck with your scholarship applications. Get those applications in for the inns if you haven't already, if you're starting in September. All the inns are great. Don't come for us.
Yeah. We love you all. We love everybody from every inn. Okay then.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
See you later. What? See you later. Oh my God.